This is the best the Golden State Warriors have played all year. And no, I'm not talking about Stephen Curry being the best player in the NBA, because that's what he is. I'm not talking about Draymond Green coming back and making a huge impact. That's another thing. Well, we'll probably talk about those things because when you're talking about the Warriors, you need to talk about Curry dropping bombs left and right, being an absolutely phenomenal player, the greatest point guard ever. I'm not going to go on a tangent because I can do that anytime I talk about Steph Curry. I can just go on a tangent and talk about how great he is. I'm not going to do that. Not going to talk about how great Draymond Green is either. You've probably heard that. If you've watched the channel at all, you've heard all of my theories, my thoughts on those two. They're great. But I want to talk about more of a stylistic and kind of a structural change that this team made that might hold up in the long run and I think is going to be hugely important for the success of this team going forward and the success of this team in the playoffs, if I can jump the gun and potentially say they look definitely like a playoff team now. Now, before I do that, if you could drop a like on the video, it really does help out a lot. I know it doesn't seem like much, but dropping a like it genuinely changes how the video goes, so that would be appreciated. Also, subbing to the channel if you want. I mean, if you like the content, consider doing it. Can I just say one thing? I need to inject some of this center Draymond Green into my veins. Brad Wanamaker, making passes, making clutch shots. Wanamaker, the Celtics legend, now turned Golden State Warriors legend. Inject that into my veins. Pascal, the second unit Zion Williamson, that has to be injected into my veins because what I saw from the Golden State Warriors today, or whenever you're seeing this yesterday, I don't know what it is, whatever, it was just different. That's the main thing. It was different to anything we'd seen. We'd seen Curry carry them to games. We'd seen Curry be the reason they'd won the first 3 or 4 games they'd won. But now we saw something different. It was a team effort. Sure, Steph still put up 40 points. I mean, he can do that any single night. So that's not going to take away from everything else this team did and all of the other players that really contributed to this game because this was a team effort. And that's a different thing to what we saw in the first 5 games of the season. And that's why I'm convinced this Warriors team has turned the corner. But let's just get straight into it. Let's talk about what this team did different. Small ball. Small ball. They made some of the adjustments we've been crying out to see. Kelly Oubre Jr. I made a video on him a few weeks ago, a week ago, whatever it is now, talking about how he might be the worst player in the NBA. That was a joke, but he has been detrimental to this team. I've said that. He doesn't move the ball enough. He doesn't cut enough. He's been pretty good defensively, not to the point where you can put up with the offense that he's giving you because his offense has completely stagnated the rest of this team. It's been a black hole. He's taking shots that he shouldn't take. He's not taking shots that he should take. He's not getting to the rim enough. He's not doing the things that he should be doing. And the reality is he should be benched. And he was benched in the second half of the game. And we saw exactly what happened. They had a number of guys, Michael Mulder, Kent Bazemore, Damian Lee, Brad Wanamaker. Not direct replacements, but just a number of these guys come in and this was Warriors basketball. They continue to move the ball. I talked about it before. I don't think this offense was that bad. You had guys like Oubre on the floor as a non-shooter. You then bring in someone like Wanamaker, Bazemore, Lee, all of these guys knocking down their shots, Michael Mulder, and all of a sudden the ball movement's there and the shooting is there. It just means you're going to have to pay a bit more respect to those outside threats, leaves a bit more space for Stephen Curry, leaves a bit more space for Draymond Green to get into the lane and get to the rim, which he did a couple of times. There's just a few things that happen with this small ball team that is just different to what we've seen before. But I want to talk about defense because the defense was woeful for the first 5 games of the season. The 29th ranked defense in the NBA for the first 5 games of the season. And unlike the offense, the defense was just bad. Like the offense, they were still moving the ball and missing a lot of open shots. There's a difference between having a terrible offense and a system that doesn't work, which was criticized. We talked about that, how the Warriors didn't actually have a bad system. They had the right system, they just weren't hitting open shots. Now all of a sudden, they've gone from the 30th ranked offense to the 3rd ranked offense over the last 4 games. Is that because Steve Kerr magically changed something? No. Maybe it's because Stephen Curry's hitting like 60 points a game, yes. But it's also because guys are now starting to hit open shots. Wow. That has helped the offense. Who would have thought? Not me. Yes, the offense has changed, but the defense more importantly, because that was terrible. They weren't making the right rotations. They didn't have Draymond Green. We were waiting for him to come back. We know he was going to provide a big boost. And in the 4 games that Draymond Green has played, I'm not going to talk about that Portland game that he played 15 minutes in because that was his first game back in over a year. He didn't have the same impact that he's had in every other game, even though the stats would suggest it's been the same. And casuals, You can go with the single, triple, whatever it is, single, double, I don't even know what I'm saying. You can go with that line all you want, but the reality is he's making a huge impact, and this defense has gone from the 29th ranked defense over the first 5 games to the 10th ranked defense. And it's not because of opponents. Often in the season you see a large fluctuation because you'll play a good team and then a bad team. They've played the Trailblazers, the Kings, and the Clippers twice over the last 4 games. Those are all very good offenses, and they've still been the 10th ranked defense against those 3 teams. Is that impressive? Yes, it is. It's because of a number of things. They've gone small, which has just changed the whole dynamic of this team. James Wiseman is going to be a star going forward, but at the moment I don't think he's cut out to be much more than 15 minutes a game because his defense just isn't up to par. And when one player on your team is a defensive liability, the load is spread onto other players, and we saw that happen. It wasn't just Wiseman, there was a few other guys. But that's what happens. Now all of a sudden you bring back Draymond, the defensive quarterback. We talked about this. His voice, his impact, everything he does changes the dynamic of this defense. And all of a sudden you've got guys like Andrew Wiggins stepping up over screens and staying with Kawhi instead of letting him switch on to Steph and Curry. You've got guys like Damian Lee, Brad Wanamaker getting in the passing lanes, Kent Bazemore. All of these guys have been active defenders, and they're doing well on ball and off ball. You then mix that in with what you're getting from Draymond at the center spot, who can switch onto bigger bodies and do his thing, or he can guard the perimeter. It's something Draymond's been able to do for years. And that's why the defense has changed. And that's the biggest takeaway I've taken from the last few games. Draymond Green coming back, and these other guys stepping up on defense, namely Andrew Wiggins, who needs some respect. I may as well just talk about it now. I was going to wait till a bit later in the video. Let's just talk about it. To start the season, pretty much everyone on the Warriors was underperforming. Steph Curry started the season pretty slow. That was to be expected after a long layoff. Kelly Oubre was terrible to start the season. James Wiseman, he was okay. He was a rookie. Eric Paschal started the first few games a bit slow, coming back from injury as well. But for some reason, Andrew Wiggins got all of the slack. He got all of the hate for all of this because he's Andrew Wiggins and he's an easy target, when in reality, he was just on par with everyone else who had a slow start to the season. Over the last few games, he's been terrific. He made a clutch bucket, which everyone's going to talk about because it's an offensive play. But can we talk about his defense? He's keeping players to the lowest field goal percentage of any player on the Warriors, so he's clamping up. That's going up against often the best scorer on the other team or one of the best wing players. Just the other night, he kept Kawhi Leonard to 1 of 4 shooting and forced him to commit 5 turnovers. 5 turnovers. That wasn't the recent game. That was the game 2 games ago. And the most recent game where the Warriors won, well, Kawhi Leonard struggled as well because Andrew Wiggins is moving his feet terrifically. Kawhi likes to get people off balance and then use his body to get to his spot. But because Wiggins' footwork is so good on the defensive end of the floor, Kawhi's not able to do that. And Wiggins looks like a genuine, very, very good on-ball defender. I'm not going to say elite yet because that's early. It's only been 8 games. But over the last 5 games, he looks like a great defender. Put some respect on Andrew Wiggins' name. He's doing his thing on offense as well. He's giving you 15 to 20 points a night. That's all you want. You want him to be switched in on defense and then do the right things on offense, which you're seeing more. He's moving without the ball more. He's taking more 3-point shots, and he's taking more rhythm shots as opposed to slowing down the offense and being a black hole. Wiggins has changed for the better, and people are going to realize that soon if they don't realize it now, but I'm saying it now because he's a different person. You're going to find out that soon once he comes around and plays your team. Just be warned. He's a great defensive player now, and he's been fantastic. That's all I've got to say about Wiggins. No more slander is allowed on Andrew Wiggins' name. Said that last week. It still stands. No more Wiggins slander, okay? Someone else who shouldn't be getting any slander is the second unit Zion who I talked about. That's Eric Paschal. Is he a beast or what? He's a beast. He's a monster. He's a tank. He's given you 7 double-digit games in a row. He's coming off the bench. He started the season slow because he missed all of preseason. That was the reason I was still giving the Warriors hope. A lot of these guys had injuries, missed the season. Anyways, we don't need to talk about the past. We're talking about the present. The present is Eric Paschal at small ball center. Ooh-wee. He's dominating opposition centers. And he's not getting bullied inside either on the defensive end of the floor. He's been fine defensively, but offensively, he's such a positive because he's fast and strong to the point where you switch someone smaller onto him, it's a wrap. You switch someone bigger onto him, it's a wrap. And then let's surround him with shooters like Michael Mulder, Damian Lee, who are both very good shooters. You can name a couple more. And all of a sudden, they're spacing the floor, and you've got Paschal the opportunity to attack the lane. Ooh-wee, he looks good. He looks very good. He's changed that bench unit, so he needs a lot of credit. Because this bench unit looks like the biggest issue with this Warriors team. He was the most notable name that we could talk about when talking about this bench unit. But he's just a fantastic player, and he's making a huge difference. Eric Paschal, put some respect on him. He's a beast. But another thing to note is the Warriors are moving the ball better, more efficiently. They were still moving the ball, but now since Draymond has come back, they've got another playmaker, another creator. It takes the load off Steph, but also you've got guys like Wiggins are starting to move the ball. Wanamaker had a few assists. Kent Bazemore, all of these guys are buying into this system, and they've gone from one of the teams with one of the worst assist to turnover ratios to now one of the top 5 over the last few games. And that's got to do with a whole team ethos. They're starting to move the ball. Guys like Wiggins, before he didn't know what to do with the ball apart from shoot. Now he knows to move the ball, and that doesn't mean it's reflective in him getting 6 assists a game. It's reflective in him passing to someone who then passes to someone else, and then they make the shot. It's not just about one player driving into the lane and then kicking out, which they can do, and they have done, which is still effective, but it's about all of them sharing the ball. That's what Steve Kerr does. That's what the Warriors have been for so long, and that's exactly what we're seeing again. There's shades of the old Warriors that we're seeing. The defense being good, the offense being fantastic, them moving the ball, Steph Curry being unanimous MVP form again, Draymond Green getting back to his best, despite only putting up 4 and 1 a game or whatever it is. Something ridiculously low. It's actually comedical how bad his numbers are, but how good he is as a player. It's so funny how he could have the worst numbers in the league, but still be one of the top 20 players in the NBA. I find it funny every time. But yeah, Draymond's numbers are terrible. His impact is incredible. So make of that what you will. Golden State Warriors, small ball lineup is looking fantastic. Expect to see more of it. There's still going to be times where they need to play Looney and Wiseman. Obviously, the Clippers aren't the biggest team, so this lineup isn't going to work every single game. Let me make that clear. For the right times, for the right periods of time, where you're not going up against a dominant center, or where you just want to stretch the floor, give Steph a bit more space to work on the perimeter, small ball lineup is huge, and that's something that they now have in their back pocket. To summarize, statistically, the Warriors have gone from the worst team in the NBA over the first 5 games of the season to over the last 4 games of the season playing competitive teams, good teams at that. They've had a 3-1 record, been a top 3 ranked offense and a top 10 ranked defense, which is championship level criteria. In terms of statistically, that's championship level stuff. I'm not getting that carried away. That is very premature. My screen is now black. That's pretty much all I've got to say, so I'll leave you with that. I'll catch you next time. Bye.